To a man who gained his fame as the youngest world chess champion ever, Garry Kasparov is still considered by many to be the greatest chess player of all time. But these days his focus is on politics. His latest book is Winter is Coming: Why Vladimir Putin and the Enemies of the Free World Must Be Stopped. It examines Vladimir Putin's presidency and the West's response. Kasparov joined me to talk about it. Garry, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. How dangerous is Vladimir Putin?
Is getting more dangerous every day.
Make the case.
Look, every dictator is dangerous. The dictator with nukes is very, very dangerous. And dictator with nukes who believes that he could do whatever he wants and being unopposed for so long is extremely dangerous.
Unopposed by whom?
By people who could have stopped him, starting from this country.
You almost, in your book, you're almost as tough on the United States as you are on Putin. It's almost like we're appeasers of Vladimir Putin.
I don't think we can talk about appeasement, starting from 1991, 1992. I think it was more of a complacency. And it's one of the ideas of giving a title, Winter is Coming, to the book was kind of a delayed debate with Francis Fukuyama, and I was quite happy when he provided a blurb for the book, because his book, The End of History, published in 1992, a bestseller, it was not his mistake. It was a reflection of all our beliefs. We believed the Cold War is over. It's time to enjoy and just to move forward. And nobody thought about coming up with a plan how to reorganize the world.
So by the way, when you say this is the reason, the other reason is you're a big Game of Thrones fan.
Absolutely,
yes. Okay,
yes,
fine.
That's,
we knew
that's
that
for sure.
So, but what's the plan? What should the United States impose sanctions? Russia is driven out of the G8. What more can the United States do to Vladimir Putin without sending troops into Ukraine?
But first of all, there's as many things can be done with a credible threat, and I think that's number one problem, that the credibility of this White House is very, very low. If the United States president, draws the red line, Syria 2 years ago, if somebody crosses the red line, you must shoot. You can't spend any more time talking, because then you send a message that it's not serious. And the problem is that every day that you delay your decisive action against dictator, the price goes up.
Okay, so the line was drawn, and he chose not to proceed. What does he do today, in November of 2015?
Today, unfortunately, that he will have to employ much tougher actions.
Like what?
First of all, let's remember that between war and peace, there is a big territory called leadership, and many things can be done. It's not just black and white. There are many other colors. Russia today is not as powerful as the Soviet Union economically, not as powerful as militarily. Set aside the nukes. It doesn't have the same allies. It doesn't have the ideology that at one point affected hundreds of millions of people around the globe.
So what does that mean? Tougher sanctions? Where are you going with that? Financially, great damage could be done to Russian economy, especially to Putin's oligarchs, to the state-controlled companies. And it's like you want to impose sanctions, but first you want to make it credible threat. Because if America decides that the Putin has to be stopped by economic sanctions or financial sanctions, it can do it without any support of the Europeans. Winter is coming. Here's a line. In the end, Putin is a Russian problem, of course, and Russians must deal with how to remove him. You almost ran for president. Was it 2008?
Okay, but it was a kind of a statement, because...
But your friend Boris Nemtsov, executed, was he killed by Putin?
He was killed with Putin's consent. Nothing of that type could happen in Putin's Russia without a full approval of the big boss.
So how do the Russian people rise up against Vladimir Putin?
It's a certain point, no one can rise against a dictator from within if dictator looks invincible and too strong. What we need today is Putin's geopolitical defeat, like Afghanistan for the Soviet Union. For instance, Assad goes down, he will look weak. That's part of this propaganda war that had to be conducted from the free world, communicating this message to Russian oligarchs, to Russian elite, to Russian middle class, that Vladimir Putin is a dead end. Vladimir Putin has burned all the bridges. And if they want any future for our country,
They have to think how to remove this crazy boss who is driving his country to the nuclear disaster.
So we know you're not an Obama fan, and we know this book is coming out right in the middle of primary season here. Who's the best man or woman to lead the charge from the United States against Putin?
Yeah, I'm not an Obama fan, but I was not a George W. fan, and I was not a Bill Clinton fan.
But
and
you're
I was
a Romney and a McCain fan, are you not?
Look, I was, it's the, I'm advocating for policies, and if you read the book, you can find out that, I praise, of course, Ronald Reagan, who did tremendous job in helping us to end communism. But
he worked with Gorbachev. He's calling it evil empire, but Ronald Reagan is working with Gorbachev too.
He has not signed the treaty in 1986, actually, and I explain in the book how it helped us in the Soviet Union, how it forced Gorbachev to move into the perestroika mode. But I'm praising Harry Truman. I mean, I think it's undervalued as a president who saved hundreds of millions of people from communism and built institutions like, NATO, CIA, Voice of America to fight communism for 45 years.
Who's Harry Truman today?
I don't. I don't see Harry Truman. I would probably say that it's in the pool of the candidates. I would pick up Marco Rubio because he's Cuban. It's just, many people could say the right things, but I think he understands because he has his roots. He understands genetically what is communism, what is KGB, what is dictatorship, and it somehow reminds me of another great president, John F. Kennedy, who, by the way, laid down this freedom agenda. This is not a neocon agenda. If you read what Kennedy said and you look at the debates between him and Nixon, you will see that he was far more hawkish in promoting the ideas of freedom and liberty and America's leadership role in promoting these values around the world.
Near and dear to the hearts of people who are going to see this show tonight is what happened on Marathon Day a couple of years ago. You believe, I've read that you believe that the Russians could have done more to prevent at least the older Tsarnaev from coming back here and doing what he did. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How so?
Look, I think the United States decided against investigating the role of Russian of KGB into the whole affair because Tsarnaev, he went back to Russia. And
the second time.
Exactly, the second time. Yeah. And it says, and they haven't warned about him being in the North Caucasus, making friends, allies with some of the notorious terrorists there who were killed. And how come that few days after they have been liquidated, he went back to Moscow and and could fly back to the United States, and nobody informed American authorities about what Tsarnaev did for 6 months in Russia.
But my understanding is at least what the Russian security agency, I'm sure you're not crazy about them, had to say was because he traveled, was it on a Kyrgyzstan passport, that they didn't even know he was there the second time? Do you find that to be credible or no?
No, absolutely not. That actually proves my point because someone who's traveling from the United States, going to the Caucasus, staying there for a long time, working closely with renowned terrorists there who have been killed by KGB, and then suddenly he goes back unopposed, in Sheremetyevo, not illegally. He went through the Russian passport control, and I believe that KGB had enough means to actually recognize the threat if they believed that he was a threat to Russia.
Can we just totally change gears for 1 minute back to the part of your life where people know you best? How much is your political thinking a function of the kind of thinking you did when you were sitting around a chessboard?
Look, I've been always applying my chess expertise because I learned how to analyze my moves and how to think about the strategy and how just to find out, what could be the best move. It doesn't work all the time because, for instance, in Putin's Russia, I always made a joke that, while in chess we had fixed rules and unpredictable results, in Putin's Russia it was exactly the opposite. Yeah, but it's still, this is another book, by the way, which I wrote many years ago, How Life Imitates Chess. In that book I explained, how we can rigorously analyze our own performance. That's what I did when I played chess, and that's what I've been doing all the time.
World champion, we know that. Did Big Blue beat you fair and square, or no?
Look, we played 2 matches. I won the first one, I lost the second one. Then IBM dismantled it, before playing a rubber match.
Garry Kasparov, it's great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.